Lineman, Uche Waneri. Eben is about to join the stream here soon, so let's give him a moment. He'll jump in, and we're just going to kind of wing it, kind of talk about things like the game last night, go over the latest news, latest things, latest happenings. So it should be a good time. Eben's always a good conversation, so expect nothing less.
Uche.
Eb.
What's going on?
What's up, man? Got your video up? Michael. Yeah, all is well, man. All is well. Just it's a nice Friday. Nice Friday. Hey, Ebs, your video isn't started up.
I know this thing is not letting me use the camera on my computer.
Have you gone through your settings?
I'm trying right now. Huh. Let me see. No, it's not it.
What up, Sean Guzik?
Dictation. Sound. The fuck? No.
Maybe go into your settings on your computer and set the camera as your main camera.
Let's see. Okay. General. No.
And if you go into the settings on StreamYard, it should give you that option, right, for camera?
It's just not bringing up my fucking camera.
It up.
I don't know why.
What's going on, boy?
Hey, my dude. Sorry about this.
Oh, no,
this is interesting.
Good, man. Take your time. I mean, I started the stream, but I told them we're going to talk about whatever we want.
That's cool.
Soki One says Uche had an explosive punch as a lineman, wide base.
No doubt. I don't even see a camera option on my system preferences.
Should be in, let me see here. If you go into settings, it should be in, let me see. System, and then this. Let me see, where is that? System, display. No. System, devices. It should be in devices, maybe. Bluetooth and other devices. Yeah, that's where I'm seeing it on mine. Bluetooth and other devices, and then if you scroll down, it'll say other devices, and it should have your camera there. You catch the game last night?
I didn't, dude.
Yeah, I watched parts of it. Didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't catch the end. I thought that they were gonna, I thought the Packers were gonna tie it up, but they ended up losing. So
The Packers lost to the Eagles at home.
yeah, they lost. Philly beat them 34-27.
Philly's always dangerous, man.
What camera are you using? Do you know? Is it just like a built-in camera, or is it
Yeah, it's just in my laptop here.
Oh hell. Yeah, that should definitely be in your settings. Well, he'll be back. So the game last night, Green Bay, I mean, both teams looked pretty damn good. Not gonna lie. They both looked pretty good. Eagles ended up getting the win, but definitely was we definitely witnessed two offenses that found their groove, especially with Green Bay. Green Bay had been struggling the first three games to get their offense going, but they were 3-0. And then the game that they get their offense going, they lose. Go figure. So congrats to the Eagles. I guess what is it? Fly Eagles fly versus Go Pack Go. But it was definitely a let's see here. But it was definitely a Steve Blake says, oh, well, hey, Eb.
Yeah.
Somebody says check settings, privacy, camera, allow app to access your camera. Devontae Adams was balling, but didn't he get turf toe? Boy, Aaron Rodgers on your fantasy team, so it was a big game. Yeah, I'm sure you got big points off of that for sure. For sure. Somebody, Jonathan Eaton said, not an Eagles fan, but that was a great ending. Always nice to see the Pack lose, especially at home. Man, the first time I ever played at Lambeau Field, my rookie year, we played against Green Bay in the preseason. And I mean, it was like going back in time. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was a nighttime game, and the entire Packers team got introduced. And then, except for one person, and then you just see this one lone cat come jogging out of the tunnel, number 4. Brett Favre, and I mean, this was a preseason game, and the place was packed, and people went crazy when Brett Favre came out of the tunnel. So that was my first experience at Lambeau, and I thought that was pretty awesome. First time Rodgers ever lost after having led by 10 or more at any time in a game. Oh, that's crazy. It's a crazy stat. Rodgers threw 58 passes. I feel like that's kind of a normal for him. Kind of a norm. I feel like that's something that he does on a regular to begin with. Let's see here. So we're waiting on Eben. Eben is getting some technical difficulties handled with his camera. But once we get that taken care of, we'll kind of get into our thing and just talk about what's going on around the world, well, around our world. Were a lot of you guys involved with the live stream the other day with me and Gary and everybody about the whole situation with Bob Iger and Star Wars? How many of y'all saw that? Just asking. That's a little off topic, but just asking. Oh, okay. Here we go. Bad News Brendan says, do you have a personal favorite stadium played at besides TIAA Bank Field? Man, I'll be honest. There were a few stadiums that I thought were pretty cool to play in. One of them was the Seahawks Stadium. I thought that stadium was a lot of fun. High energy, very, very loud crowd, but definitely was one of my favorite stadiums to play in. Also, let me see. I think back on it. I liked playing in New York. I liked the stadium up in New York. I thought that was a good stadium. And I also I liked the Texans Stadium, Houston. I liked their stadium. I thought their stadium was pretty fun too. Their grass was nice. It was, you got good footing. Some stadiums, man, it feels weird to play on their fields. When I think about like the Colts Stadium, I feel like their turf is a little bit too fluffy. So it felt like it was kind of hard to get your footing sometimes. Felt like you weren't standing on anything solid. I absolutely hated playing at Wembley in London. Oh man, those soccer stadiums are not designed to play football on. I mean, one kick step and you're literally like the bottom of your cleats are caked in mud. Let's see what's going on with Ebbs. Ebbs.
Dude, this is a bitch. Do you have a Mac by any chance?
No, I don't have a Mac. I'm on PC. Here, let me look up real quick and see what I can find.
I don't understand. It's not.
It says go to okay on Mac. It says go to system preferences, security and privacy. Click privacy.
Okay.
Then click camera.
I don't have that on here.
You don't have a camera option on your?
Yeah, it's when I type in the search in system preferences for camera, it takes me down to Flash Player. And then
you're in security and privacy, right?
Yep. Well, security and privacy, there's no camera.
Well, then you click, it should say general, then file vault, then firewall, then privacy.
Yep.
And click on privacy.
Privacy. And there's no camera setting.
Let me see. What about microphone?
I've got
Your microphone works.
Yeah. Well, we could just do it audio and then fucking. I don't know why.
Is there like a little padlock under all that says click lock to make changes?
No. Oh. Let me see. Okay.
So you clicked on that?
Yep.
Maybe you can add camera from there. Let's see here. Yeah, that's true statement, Jamie. Wembley's used to having 170-pound little guys kicking a ball around. Hey, we played against the 49ers 2013 in Wembley, and whoo, I mean, guys were slipping all over the place, sliding 5 or 6 yards. It's crazy. Was there a player you hated playing against the most? Oh, man. Albert Hainsworth. Albert Hainsworth. I did not like playing against him. He was definitely the biggest pain ever. And I kept on having to play him. That was the bad part. Kept on having to play him. Everywhere he went, they ended up playing the Jaguars. So it started off, he was in Tennessee, which is bad enough. I had to play him 2 times a year. Then he goes to Washington, and we end up playing them that year. And then the next year, we end up playing them. And then he goes to Tampa, and we end up playing Tampa that year. So me and him are on almost a first-name basis, like, hey, yeah, what's going on, man? When are you going to stop following me around? Keep going to all these teams, which keep on ending up back here. Okay, guys, we're going to pause for 1 second. Got a call coming in. All right, back home. The wife was calling. Eb, you still hadn't figured it out, man? What's going on there?
Let's see.
Google that shit. Next time, get a PC. Okay. Hainsworth is funny because he's fat. Man, let me tell you something. Albert Hainsworth, one hand, he could palm an entire football helmet and lift you off the ground like the Incredible Hulk if you talk shit to him. Nobody ever talks shit to him because he's bipolar, so you just try to leave him alone. But yeah, it was good to have him, to always run into him, because I always knew that week that, a lot of times I'd have to block him with little to no help. And our O-line coach, Andy Heck, Eben remembers this. Andy would be like, Uche, got him by yourself. We're not helping you. But yeah, the first time I ever blocked Albert Hainsworth, he embarrassed me the entire game. It was my second year, first game as a starter. Sprained my MCL. And then Vince Manuel tore his ACL, so I got moved from right guard to left guard. And Albert Hainsworth just lined up over our left tackle and would speed rush from the left tackle. Our left tackle was terrified, thinking that Hainsworth was going to be coming at him. He would look at me before the play. Uche, hey, he coming to you? And I'd be like, yeah, he's coming to me. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And then he just set out to his DN, and Albert Hainsworth just got a 5-yard running start at me. Yeah, that was definitely a long day. But he is the one person I played against probably the most as a defensive lineman my entire career. Oh. So who's playing this week? I don't even keep up with this anymore. Let's see, what's Sunday looking like? Jalen Ramsey still wants at Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey still wants out of Duval. Let's see what it's looking like. Falcons might get crushed by Tennessee. Let's see here. Oakland and Indianapolis. That's a good game.
Uche, I'm gonna restart my browser here. I'll be back in 1 sec.
Jacksonville, Denver, Dallas at New Orleans, Minnesota at Chicago, Seattle at Arizona. Ooh, that bottom half of the schedule for Sunday is looking competitive. Tampa at Los Angeles. Yeah, the late games on Sunday are looking like they may be some competitive games, some real competitive games. Bengals and Steelers, 0-3 on 0-3. Yeah, that's gonna be a funny one. Young Doc Vader. The Bengals, man. I mean, what is going on with the Bengals? Those guys have been having a rough go. I mean, what is the origin meaning of the term kicking someone in? Yeah, kick them inside. It's like moving a right guard or right tackle to right, kicking him inside. Now he's there. Oh, there. All right, we'll mute him for a sec. Cowboys Saints. That's going to be a big game. Cowboys Saints. In the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Ooh. That's going to be one. That's definitely going to be one. Eben is having a hell of a time with his camera. That's why you got to go with that's why you got to go PC. That Mac shit don't work. Let's see. Cowboys. You're going for Cowboys, huh? You know, I was with Dallas for a little bit in my last season. Didn't much like the Cowboys. And didn't like the players. I love the players were all good. I didn't like the way that the franchise, like the front office, the coaches, especially Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is like the the biggest puppet head coach in the NFL. Like, this guy's smile looks fake. His smile looks fake, you know? And you know, they just, when I was there, it was this whole aura of, we are the Cowboys. We're the Cowboys. It is the biggest privilege in football to play for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm over here like, motherfucker, we've been to the playoffs more than y'all been to the playoffs over the last 20 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys have like one playoff win in 2 decades and no championships since 1990, what, 4? Or 1993? Like, dude, stop. Where'd that come from? Yeah, like Jason Garrett is just it's weird, dude. Like, even the players were kind of like, yeah, he's the head coach, but he's not really the head coach. Like, he's kind of just the figurehead head coach. And I mean, I got it. You know, coming from a market team to a big market team, you know, it was really evident that these guys are, you know, given a lot of attention, given a lot of news buzz. But, you know, truth be told, they're not, you know, the kind of franchise that they once were. And until they get back into serious contention, I'm not talking about, you know, having a winning record. I'm not talking about even making it into the playoffs. I'm talking about until they get into a conference championship, until they make another Super Bowl appearance, it's hard to really look at them and be like, you know, that's the team right there. You know what I mean? That's America's team, because they're not. You know, they really would have to win a Super Bowl to be able to have that kind of clout again. Pearl Middleton says, what do you think about Jalen Ramsey, especially if he go and play for Tennessee? Well, I can tell you that he won't be traded to Tennessee. He won't be traded to the Colts. He won't be traded to any AFC South team, Houston, Tennessee, Indy, none of them. No division rival is going to trade their best player to a division rival. So the only way that he'd be able to go the only way he'd be able to go anywhere in the division is if he was, you know, he plays on contract and goes. Because he's traded to any trade to any division rival. That's Duval till we die. You damn right. Soki1 says, do you have an opinion either way on announced pronouncing Jacksonville the Jaguars? When I read that, it reminded me instantly of offensive line coach Heck, who is now the coach for Kansas City. Andy Heck used to always kind of he would always announce the Jaguars as, you are playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I guess we'll say it 2 different ways: Jaguars and Jaguars. But anything that, you know, get that and say, oh, that's not the right way to pronounce it. I mean, say it any way you want. I just say Jags. Jaguars. But yeah, Jacksonville's in a unique position. They got the mustache, the mustache man. He is playing some good ball right now. Obviously, they got that win against Tennessee Thursday last week, and we're gonna see. We'll see how good this guy is as the season really goes on. Right now, it's a little early. He's played well in all games, win or lose. He's played well in all the games that he's been in. No doubt. But the Jaguars make something of this season. They're going to need to make it happen within, the next 3 to 4 weeks, and that means they're going to need to win 3 or 4 games straight to put themselves back in the driver's seat for the AFC South. And that's a division that's kind of up in the open. It's wide open right now. Every team, I think, has a loss. Let me check. Let's see. Yeah, every team has a loss or one game behind Houston and the Colts, and getting a nice winning streak going is going to be huge in regards to getting them in a position to gain control of the AFC South or the AFC South and be able to move forward. It's really the AFC South has been a division where over the past 15, 20 years, it's been, pretty much controlled by the Colts. You sneak in Tennessee one year, you sneak in Jaguars one year, you sneak in teams here and there. But but overall, there hasn't been any other team outside of the Colts really grab a stranglehold on the division. So now, with Angela gone, with Peyton Manning gone, and now you have Jacoby Brissett, there's an opportunity now for like the Jaguars, the Titans, Texans to begin a tradition of taking control of the division. So we'll see how things play out as they get into more divisional games in the coming weeks. We'll know for sure where things might end up going. So, so Eb is having some difficulty with his laptop at the moment. Let me pause the stream for a second. I'm going to mute and stop my cam. I'm going to hit him up real quick and see if I can help him out. Give me about 3 or 4 minutes here, guys. Be right back on. All right. So we lost Eb. He couldn't get his camera to work. He started getting a little frustrated. So I told him, don't worry about it. We'll just run it again next week. Give him some time to get his camera situation handled. But the observant lineman is here for you. And taking more questions. We'll let this thing run for a little bit longer here. Really wanted to get Eben in so we could talk some good stuff, talk some lineman life. But I'm here and I'm ready to take your questions. We'll go for, let's say we'll go for another 30 minutes or so. Talk to you guys. Leave the floor open for everybody to ask me whatever you deem football, Star Wars, geek life, whatever. Let's do it. I'm here for you. I'm here for the people. Okay. Okay. So what's up, guys? What is up? What game do you guys want to see me stream tonight? I know I put that poll up on my community tab on YouTube. What do you guys want to see? I'm really digging Devil May Cry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really digging Devil May Cry 5. Gears feels like more of the same right now, but it's a new story, so I'm willing to give it some time. Looks like right now Rainbow Six Siege is in the lead. Rainbow Six is a dope game. It's a dope game. I like it. So we'll if that holds up, I'll be more than happy to put on some Rainbow Six, some of that stealth SWAT action. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Dum. All right. So what's up, fellas? What's going on? It looks like Kevin Feige, the guy responsible for Marvel's the MCU, looks like he is going to be taking over Star Wars soon. Not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. But it is an admission of the failures of Kathleen Kennedy and her time as the head of Lucasfilm, because, man, they're calling in all the stops to get the Star Wars brand back in favor with the fans. Now, to be honest, I think it's too late for all that. I think that they have burnt up all the goodwill of the fans. I think that at this point, you'd have to literally take a 5 or 6 year break from Star Wars before you could come back and bring that and reboot the entire sequel trilogy, I guess, because it's just not going to be the same, knowing that they basically ditched everything that George Lucas had wanted them to do. So that's that. But we are taking questions. Any questions? I will provide answers as best I can. Sorry for losing Eben. Eben is having technical difficulties with his camera, with his MacBook. Go figure, a Mac. And that is pretty much that as far as being able to get him on with us. So it's just little me here to try and satiate the people and show them that we are here for them. I know a lot of guys come from Geeks and Gamers, so definitely I would love to take any questions you guys might have. So let me know what's going on. Let me know. I'm going to go through and breeze through some of the latest news out of the comic book and movie world. I've already looked at the schedule for the games that are coming up this week. There's going to be some good games going on Sunday afternoon / evening. Early games look like a little bit more easy to predict winners and losers, but that second half of the Sunday night schedule is looking like a real good one. Zach Grieg, hope I'm saying that right, is asking, do Ohio State and Purdue play this year? As far as I know, we do not play Ohio State this year. We don't play Ohio State. We don't play. Let me see here. Let's see Purdue's schedule. Purdue does. Nope, we don't play Ohio State this year. We play. We got Minnesota tomorrow. Then we got Penn State, Maryland, Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Indiana. So no Ohio State. I think there's like a rotation on it now. I remember it was like a 2-year rotation of certain teams. We're not actually playing Ohio State or Michigan this year, or Michigan State for that matter. No Michigan State, no Ohio State, no Michigan. And in their place, I think we have Nebraska, Maryland, and Penn State. I think those are the replacement teams for those teams this year. So nope, we don't got them this year. What are you an Ohio State fan? Because if you are, we kicked y'all's ass last year when y'all were number 2 in the country. Just saying. Just saying. Let me grab my. This is my weapon of choice. That Mace Windu. That Mace. This party is over. So my alter ego is Uche Windu. For those of y'all who didn't see the new anointment picture on Twitter by one of the Fan Menace members who anointed me Uche Windu. So, I got my lightsaber. All I need now is my Jedi robes. What's up? Any other questions? What you guys thinking? What's up? What's up? What's up? What else? Who's going to go see the Joker when it comes out next week? I know I'm going to go watch it. I'm watching the first day. Oh, which teams are going to remain undefeated after this week's games? Drive Mayhem. One of my favorites. Let's see here. Of the undefeated, well, I'm pretty sure that Buffalo will likely end up 3-1 after this weekend. I think they're playing against the Patriots. Who else? Oh man, Chiefs will remain undefeated. New England will remain undefeated. Cowboys and the Saints. Ooh, wait. I'm going to say the Cowboys will remain undefeated after this week. But I think the one team that comes out with a blemish on their record will likely be the Buffalo Bills. I don't see them getting past. I don't see them getting past the Patriots. I mean, that's wishful thinking at best, right? So you got the Patriots, Cowboys, Chiefs. Those are going to be your undefeateds after this weekend. So that's something that I'm confident in saying for sure. Let's see who else. Who is going to remain winless? Well, the Dolphins. Wow. The Dolphins have 16 points for and 133 points against. They are negative 117 in points. I mean, it's hard to do that. That actually takes some actual like skill. That does take some skill to actually accomplish. Josh Chandler, what's going on, my man? Oh, your birds got them. Your birds got those Packers, huh? Yeah, we talked about that for a little bit. Those birds, those dirty birds, boy. Well, they're not dirty birds. They're the soaring birds. The dirty birds are over here in ATL. But yeah, congrats, man. They got that win. They went into Lambeau. Not a lot of teams go into Lambeau and win. So that's big for the Eagles. That's going to give them a nice boost in the season. Mm-hmm. How about the fact that the Patriots are likely going to have to pay Antonio Brown the rest of his guaranteed money? Wow. And I'll even read this article. I'll read part of this article from Yahoo. August Wattring. Let's see here. Big Q. Who's Big Q? Wattring? Who's Big Q? Running back for the Eagles, number 26 is nice. I didn't get a chance. You know what? I caught parts of the game. I didn't catch every part of the game. Nelson for the Colts. Man, you know I don't pay attention to no damn Colts. I'm a Jaguar. We ain't watching their games. Come on, man. Not watching their games. Jesse says Patriots deserve it after we all know they cheated somehow. we know about those Patriots. Some boys be cheating. But this article here, let's go through this article real quick. Let me see if I can share this article on here with you guys so that y'all can see it. Let's close that. Let's close that. Let's see here. Oh, trying to figure this out. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's take a look at this. Says little over 2 weeks ago, New England Patriots inexplicably dug themselves a financial hole by agreeing to give Antonio Brown a $9 million signing bonus. Now team owner Robert Kraft must pay his way out of it. That's the consensus of 5 league sources who spoke with Yahoo Sports this week, each familiar with Brown's now voided Patriots deal and all having extensive experience with the overlap between NFL contracts and the league's collective bargaining agreement. The group universally expressed the belief that New England Patriots payout to Brown will likely happen deep in the 2020 calendar after an exhaustive arbitration grievance that could ultimately reveal Brown and his agents knew about a threatened sexual assault civil suit prior to signing with the Patriots. One key takeaway was heavily underscored by the group. The Patriots cut Brown before he triggered any signing bonus void as described in the CBA, and that will end up being the foundational and winning point of a forthcoming grievance from Brown and the NFL Players Association. As one source put it, New England fighting to keep that signing bonus now is either a gross misunderstanding of the CBA's rules on voiding signing bonuses, or it's just out of spite. And we all know with the Patriots, it's more than likely out of spite rather than them not understanding the rules. They just didn't want to pay him because they look at him as an asshole. Says, can't believe they don't understand the signing bonus voids in the CBA. There's just no way. This is just spitefulness, obviously. They're fighting Brown completely out of the anger and embarrassment in ownership. So looking at that, it's not hard to tell why this guy is they said you said AB going back and forth with Weddle on Twitter. That's funny. Do I like MCU movies or horror? I would rather go with horror movies than MCU. I'm not a big MCU fan at all. Too formulaic, too predictable. Not a lot of there are no there's never any kind of stakes. There's no high stakes. Josh Chandler says, I'm from Philly, living in Vegas, and my sister's boyfriend is a Patriot fan. My pops almost wouldn't let him in the house. Hell, ain't nobody gonna let him in the house. Yeah. Mayhem says AB didn't help his cause when he insulted Kraft on his Twitter page, Rampage. Yeah, this guy, let's go check him out on Twitter. Let's go see what this guy's doing on Twitter. Let's see here. Let's see what this dumbass is doing over here. Hmm. Oops. Oop. Sorry, guys. Let me get that right. There we go. Look at this dude. What is he? He's talking, what is it? Some things will never change. Like, this dude is really. Okay. Eric Weddle, shots fired. Laughing at him, says, AB, when are you going to learn that it isn't about you? Never was and never will be. Got a game to get ready for. Good luck, my guy. I got a game to get ready for. Says, bro, I don't even know you. Don't call me AB. That's my NFL name, dummy. I'm not on your team. Never been. Shut your mouth, jabroni. Okay. You're not making any sense, bud. Glad you're not on my team. Call yourself whatever you want. Doesn't matter one bit to me. Good luck at CMU, my bro. Keep you luck, duck. I mean, this dude just doesn't. I mean, can he at least like try to use proper English? Keep you luck, duck. Listen to your team. Stay focused on your opponent, not AB. AB is the brand, not the individual. Clearly an AB fan. Even know about education. Oh, really? What? Some things will never change. Look at this guy. I mean, is this guy delusional or what? Is he delusional or what, guys? Whoops. Is he delusional or what? Look at this guy. This cat is over here. 100% correct. We're on dumbass watch. That's what we're doing right now. We're on dumbass watch. Because this guy is a dumbass. He is acting like a dumbass. But yeah, this guy, I mean, come on. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Come on. Look at this guy. Where is he? He done jumped up into their stands. Look at these Dolphins fans. You star guy, you son of a we can't say anything. Oh, it's hard to be a Dolphins fan right now. I know that. Yeah, Mike, I would agree. This guy is definitely he's definitely likely suffering from some type of CTE symptoms. Because that's, that's how you act when you're on a CB or CTE, when you're dealing with the symptoms of CTE. And that's what we're getting from this guy. And it's crazy. Watching a man deteriorate in real time. That's new. But let's take a look here. Let's take a look at this. So we have, this is our week right here, guys. This is our week. You got Tennessee at Atlanta. I'm actually going to take Atlanta. New England at Buffalo. Man, I mean, Buffalo is one of the easier places to play. Not going to lie. Every time I played at Buffalo, it's really never felt like it was a high-pressure game. The crowd can't get that loud because the stadium's not that big. Very open, it's a very open top kind of outdoor stadium. So it's not like a lot of outdoor stadiums that kind of put the field inside of the bowl. You know what I mean? It's more like the field is right here, and the crowd is actually moved away from the field. So not too loud. So there's not much of a home field advantage there for Buffalo. So I'm going to give that one to New England. Kansas City at Detroit. That is actually going to be that's a tough one to call. If I'm not mistaken, I think Detroit is 3-0 as well. Oh no, they got a draw. God, has there been more and more draws in the NFL over the last few years? I mean, I remember when I was younger, you never heard of a draw, like one draw every 5 years or something like that. I think we've already had like two or three teams with a draw, or I think we have two sets of teams with a draw right now. But that's going to be a good game. Kansas City and Detroit. Oakland at Indianapolis. Wow. Oakland, what's their record? Oakland is 1-2. Okay, they got to win. So, but I'm going to give that one to the Colts. I'm going to give Los Angeles over Miami. I'm going to go with New York over Washington. Baltimore over Cleveland. Houston over Carolina. Los Angeles over Tampa. I'm going to go with Seattle over Arizona. And we got Minnesota at Chicago. Where's Minnesota? Minnesota's 2-1. That's going to be a tough one. Minnesota, Chicago, it's going to be a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Minnesota. Over Chicago. I'm going to go with Jacksonville over Denver. And I'm going to go with Dallas over New Orleans. And then for this game, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh because they're at home. But that's going to be a tough one. They're struggling as well right now too. Josh Chandler says, it honestly wrecks me to see players with such a big career ahead of them throw it all away because they don't get help. Well, the problem with him is that he doesn't think he needs help. It's not about going to get help. He thinks he's right. He thinks it's not his fault. He thinks that he's being mistreated and mishandled. That's where the problem really comes into play with the situation with Antonio Brown. The guy is he's never had to face any real consequences. And he's never had to, deal with the fallout from his actions. And when that happens, when you finally, you can never convince a guy who gets away with things all the time because of his behavior. You can never convince him that it's his fault. So until, his career ends and teams don't look for him, then he's not going to ever think of the situation as one. He's never going to look at the situation and see himself as anyone who needs to be held accountable. And, I've seen that happen with a lot of players. I've seen it happen. Well, I won't say I've seen it happen with a lot of players, but I've seen it happen with players over my time as a football player, where guys who just constantly blame the coaches, who constantly blame, other players. It's never their fault. It's never their attitude. It's never the way that they are looking at the situation. So, you know, for those guys, it's going to take a rude awakening for them to come snap out of that. And for him, who knows when that's going to come. Let's see here. All right. We got about 13 minutes left, guys. 13 minutes left. Just to recap for guys who've come in over the last few minutes, Eben Britton was having some technical issues with his laptop. Wasn't able to get into the stream with his video chat, so he's going to take some time to get that figured out, and we'll get him back in here next week, next Thursday. Next Friday. We are going to be doing Lineman Life every Friday at 3:30 p.m. Me and Eben Britton will, just go over, come into the video chat, do a live stream, just talk about things that we want to talk about. So maybe football. Usually we have some football there, but it won't be exclusive to football. It'll be, any different number of topics. Obviously, we'll take questions from you guys and we'll post them up here as I've been doing this whole time. And we'll make sure that we keep a open line with you guys so that we can continue to grow this Observant Lineman channel, continue to grow in how we do things. You guys should be looking out for everybody who watches Geeks and Gamers. I am preparing a very special Fandom Menace video essay. And if you caught my last video essay with Geeks and Gamers, you know that I go all out for these things. It's going to be cut moves. There's going to be, really good production value. And I'm going to go over the birth and evolution of the Fandom Menace. And I'm really hoping that you guys will enjoy it. I've been putting a lot of work into it. I've been taking my time with it. I want to really, whenever I do a video essay, I want it to really be like an event for Geeks and Gamers. So you guys should definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm aiming to have that ready and cooked, ready for delivery early next week. So that's something that you guys can look forward to. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Let's see here. This painting in the back. My right there. Yeah, a guy named Rob Jackson out of Dallas, Texas, did that for me. That was after my third year in Jacksonville. He did that painting for me. He also did the one that is right next to it. If you look up right there, anybody who's over 25 years old will likely know exactly what that is. That is the famous straight jacket photo of Tupac Shakur. That is one of my most prized possessions. All right. Now, what do I feel about Feige joining Star Wars? I feel like it's too little too late, to be honest. Too little too late. This is coming from my man, Driving Mayhem. I think it's too little too late, man. I really do. I think that there was obviously a time for Star Wars to course correct, and that would have been immediately after The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi did so much damage to the brand, and this is the thing. And I'm going to keep this stream going as long as I can. You guys ask me questions, I'm going to keep it going. But this is the thing. The fact that The Last Jedi was so bad was only one part of the damage, of the irreparable damage done to the Star Wars brand. What really fractured and in my opinion, broke the brand itself was the almost arrogant denial by the execs at Disney over the divisiveness and the failures of The Last Jedi. And everything that Bob Iger, Mayhem is a lady. Well, hey, Driving Miss Mayhem. That's what I'm gonna call you. Driving Miss Mayhem. That's my Driving Mayhem is a lady, y'all. And we love our ladies too. I definitely love my ladies. So Driving Miss Mayhem. That's my nickname, a little quasi nickname. But the biggest part of the problem was the arrogant denial of damage that had been done to the brand of Star Wars by The Last Jedi, by people who made it, and by executives like Kathleen Kennedy. You know, Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson called people man babies and called people, you know, sexist and misogynistic and toxic males, you know, for simply putting out that we did not appreciate what they had done to the brand of Star Wars, that this is not the Star Wars that we felt George Lucas gave them to build upon when he sold the company to Disney. And lo and behold, 2 years later, we have been totally vindicated because the CEO of Disney himself has both admitted that they had made mistakes in the handling of Star Wars, and they also betrayed the trust of George Lucas by ditching the story treatments he had for the sequel trilogy and moving in a direction that is counterproductive to the evolution of the Star Wars brand and the Star Wars franchise as a whole. So, you know, everything's comes full circle. We're all now seeing the fallout, and the fallout is so strong, it doesn't matter that Kevin Feige is being brought on. What's he gonna do? Where are you gonna start? You know, I mean, that's the first question that I started asking when I read that is, where is he gonna start? They already have a timeline that moves the sequel trilogy and moves the entire Star Wars world forward from the timeline of the First Order and all that nonsense. So where are you going to start? You can't pick up from where Lucas left off. That option is out the window. So you have to start completely over with an entirely new, entirely separate Star Wars continuity. And nobody's going to accept that because we wanted to see closure in regard to the Skywalker era along the same lines that George Lucas had planned for it, so that the extended universe could thrive and move forward based on that. But you don't even have that option anymore. So that's Kevin Feige is too little too late in my book. Blaze 410 says the Joker movie seems like it's going to be a hit. Why is there so much controversy about the film which nobody has seen yet? That's a great question, my friend. That is a great question. I don't know. I don't know what's so much controversy around Joker in regards to the violence, in regards to the message. I mean, it doesn't make sense because you look at a franchise like John Wick. John Wick is a franchise that has been, based in over-the-top violence, whether it be gun violence or physical violence through martial arts, and it has literally revived and revitalized the career of Keanu Reeves. And don't get me wrong, I love the John Wick trilogy. I love it. I think it's freaking awesome. I think that Keanu Reeves is the perfect role for him as an actor. You know, it doesn't stretch him in terms of his versatility too far, and it really follows suit in a lot of things that Keanu is already highly interested in. Martial arts has always been one of his big hobbies. His meditations, his monk-like lifestyle. And it just doesn't make sense for people to look at the franchise like John Wick and not, apply the same kind of judgmental nature that they're applying to Joker. And I think one of the reasons that it may be that way is because John Wick is purely fictional. I think we all can agree that it is purely fictional based on the style of the movie itself. You have the entire underground assassin culture. You have the entire the mystical side that's kind of been added to it in the last film. These things, remove it from any kind of reality and place it solely in a fantasy alternate world. But Joker is an actual case study. It's an actual caution. It's a cautionary case study on mental illness through the world and through the eyes of Arthur Fleck, aka Joker. And I really honestly just think that the movie is too real for a lot of people, a lot of these overly sensitive SJW, soy sauce boys and girls. I really think that it's hitting them too hard. Because that's what they all say coming out of the Toronto International Film Festival. That's what a lot of the critics that were down in it, they weren't down in it because of any aspect that had to do with movie making, that had to do with creativity. There was no negative marks based on any of that. The only negative marks that they gave the movie were based on the fact that they were scared about its real world effect and real world influence in creating some kind of boogeyman that they want to be scared of. And I think that, this movie has showed how effective and how masterfully it was put together and produced by the effect that it has on the people that watch it. And the effects that it has had are chilling to a lot of people, but to those who understand the art of it, it's a chilling in a good way. It's a masterpiece of these people. But for those who are just constantly looking for some kind of political agenda to push forward, their vitriol has come in way of criticizing the movie based on their fears and their phobias that are being triggered by this movie, which in and of itself is not the right way to critique a movie at all. You're not critiquing a movie when you're comparing it, and when you're trying to compare it to the real world issues in a way where you feel as if it's going to affect people's lives. That's not critiquing a movie. That's giving a political or a social judgment on a movie based on your beliefs. But if you are a true critic of movies, then you would look at these movies and you would say, what were they trying to do with this movie? What message were they trying to convey? What techniques were they using to convey those messages? And how effective is that message and are those techniques in regard to drawing me into the experience of the movie? That is critiquing a movie. That is critiquing it solely on the merits of the movie itself. So, everybody who understands that looks at this movie and says it's a masterpiece because it has, gone above and beyond in its effectiveness in representing itself in a certain way to the audience and pulling the audience in. And so, when you hear about all these other people talking about, oh, it's going to start causing white men to become violent, that's just bullshit. Because if that was the case, then it'd be causing black men to be violent too. It'd be causing white women and black women to be violent as well. Everybody will become violent. That's not just something that's singular to one race of people. Violence is violence. There's no discrimination on violence. Violence can happen from anyone. So, I just look at that and I'm like, whatever, man. These motherfuckers are just trying to create something that ain't there. And, you got the military out here giving out warnings over the Joker. I mean, come on. They should know better than that. They know the statistics for real on how this stuff works. And they're over here giving out warnings. 7JC Diva. Excited to see Joker. And if any SJW complains, I will tell them to shut the fuck up. Just like Dave Chappelle. Would you just shut the fuck up? Shut the fuck up so we can get where we're going? No, shut up with all this complaining. Just watch the movie. It's a movie. It's entertainment. Stop taking it too far. Stop making it into something that it's not. You're just ruining everybody else's experience. All right, we got Josh Chandler here. Josh Chandler says, I believe The Devil's Rejects is more realistically horrifying than the Joker could ever be. I don't believe there was any fallout over that movie. I saw The Devil's Rejects. I didn't really think The Devil's Rejects was that terrifying at all. It was bizarre for sure, and it was a little creepy, but I didn't view it as overly terrifying. But even at that, that was a violent movie. That was a movie that dealt with a lot of real fears of people in, being in those certain situations that they were in that movie. And, not a peep. But, the thing is, that was a different time. That was a different time. As crazy as it is to say that, the world was a different place back then than it is now. And, it's like I said in my video essay over Dave Chappelle's Sticks and Stones. Like, Chappelle's show could never survive in this world that we live in today, because the things that he was doing in that show, they were considered controversial somewhat back in the early 2000s. But also at the same time, people understood it was comedy and they liked it. And what he did was Dave Chappelle was almost a unifier because he made fun of everyone. So it kind of unified his audience. His audience, the shock value was there initially for the media and for the people who hadn't seen the show. I remember it like it was yesterday because I was in college. People were shocked, but the shock was then converted into, into a result, understanding, like a humor. Like, people understood the humor after the shock passed, and they accepted it, and they saw it as something that was almost like game changing in how the comedy world and how comedians could affect the narrative of a station like Comedy Central, which now switched from South Park style humor to more skit style humor with the Chappelle Show, and then Key and Peele. And that was really something that just, changed the landscape of how people viewed television shows and what was considered controversial and what wasn't. And as for Devil's Rejects was something that, people didn't look at it and say, and assume that this was something that was going to have an effect on any certain population of the society or any certain demographic of the society, and it just was never looked at as that kind of movie. And it was just a different world. People did not have that on their mind. And in the world we live in today, a movie like The Joker, because of these people who are weak-minded, because of these people who are easily offended, we're dealing with a situation where a movie has to explain itself. And why is it violent? Why is it dark? I mean, what kind of ridiculousness is that? It's rated R. That's all you need to know if you want to know why it's violent. friends can't even survive in this toxic, politically correct era. Yeah. You know, for anybody who's over, you know, anybody who's, you know, around 30 years old, you know, we came up in an era where political correctness was strictly reserved for the political world. That wasn't something that spilled out into the social discussion, into our social climate. That was not ever really something that we had to deal with. And you know, nobody was, you know, before Twitter, nobody was going out and saying that, oh, I can't believe the Chappelle show had a black guy as a white supremacist. Does he know what, you know, white supremacists have done over the past 100 years to the black community? Like, no, there was none of that. People were just, people were just walking around laughing. You know, Rick James, all those things. These were things that people embraced. And we just don't have that kind of social climate right now. And, you know, I don't blame that on anything that has to, I mean, I don't look at that as anything other than anything other than, yeah, Josh Chandler, again, I hear you, brother. I mean, you're 46, you understand it. It was a different world. And Soki won. Absolutely. You know, the Joker character has been around for 80 years. 80 years. The Joker has done the most horrendous, the most violent, the most twisted and bizarre acts that one could imagine in the comic books over the past 80 years. And he's still a character that is considered ultimately fascinating, highly popular, and remains for 80 years running the most the biggest arch nemesis of the most popular comic book hero in the world, Batman. You know, Batman is the biggest selling comic for DC and has been the biggest selling comic for DC for decades for a reason. You know? And, you know, like Jesse Jones says here, the new generation is soft. I think that has a lot to do with why we're seeing things play out the way they play out now. People are so soft. You know, I used to get bullied when I was young. I got bullied when I was in elementary school by a black and a white dude. They used to bully me every time they saw me. They used to beat me up in front of the school. They used to body slam me. They used to push me. And it was all because I was new to the school. It was all because I had an African name and I didn't fit in with anything that they were used to seeing, like just because of my name. And, you know, I was the biggest second grader in second grade. And these fifth graders would jump me every day, you know, because when I think back on it, it was, you know, I was just a really sweet, nice kid. Like I wasn't an aggressive little kid. You know, I always wanted to find new friends. And these guys saw that as weakness. So they would bully me and they would, you know, punch me in the stomach, you know, throw me on the ground, yada, yada, yada. And one day I told my dad about it when he picked me up from school because it happens like, it happened to me. You know, my dad would usually come pick me up like 30, 40 minutes late. So it would happen, they'd be done and they'd be gone by the time, you know, my dad pulled up. My dad asked me one day why, you know, my face looked like it was swollen up a little bit. And I told him that these two kids, they beat me up every day. Like, and he asked me if I told my teachers. And I said, yeah, I told my teachers, and my teachers don't come out and, you know, they don't look out for me after school. You know, these guys just pull my backpack off of my back and throw all my stuff out of my backpack. And nobody helps me because I'm new. I'm new to the school. And my dad, when we got home, my dad was just like, listen, son, you know, when somebody does that to you, you go tell your teacher. If your teacher doesn't do anything and the kids won't stop bothering you, then you need to defend yourself. You don't let anybody touch you, don't let anybody hurt you. If they put their hands on you, then you put your hands back on them the same way they put their hands on you. And my dad's Nigerian, so it was more an accent. It was more, you let them put their hands on you, then you punch him right back in the mouth. You do not let anyone ever hit you or hurt you. You hit them right back. And so the very next day, like clockwork, these guys come out and, they start, I'm like trying to walk towards the side of the building because I got a couple friends who are over there. I see them. They follow me out from the front door. They try to pull my backpack off. And one of the kids, grabs me around the collar of my shirt. He grabs me around the collar of my shirt, pulls on me. First thing I do is I just close my eyes and just swing as hard as I can. And I just felt my fist hit cheek and a smack sound. And, I hit the white kid in the mouth. And the black kid had already pulled my backpack off of me. So I turn around and I tackle him. And I'm just as big as these guys. I'm the same size as them. They're fifth graders. I'm a second grader. But, I'm a big cat, so I was big then too. I tackled this cat, and I just was crying and just beating on his face just like this. Yeah! Screaming, beating on his face. And then I jump over to the white kid who's got a little bloody nose, and I just swing it at him. I'm missing, but he falls on the ground trying to avoid my punches. Then I jump on top of him and I do the same thing. I'm not even punching. I'm like banging like a drum, like with tears coming down my eyes, screaming. And eventually a teacher pulled me off of the white kid. Just because that's who they saw that I was on top of. Yep, there you go. That's what they, the teachers come out. They saw that I was on top of this kid, pounding his face, and they pulled me off of him. And the teacher asked me what was going on. And I told the teacher, I said, I told you that these guys they've been jumping me every day, that they've been picking on me every day. I walk down the hallway in between, after class, they're picking on me. I try to leave out the building, they're picking on me. And you guys don't do anything. And my dad told me don't let them touch me anymore. So, that's what I did. As soon as they put their hands on me, I lost it and I just went off on them. And I didn't end up getting in any trouble for that. But, I tell you what, I never got picked on again. And it wasn't that I fought back. It was that, at the end of the day, win or lose, I had to stand up for myself. If I just allow that to be my everyday, then I'm going to get bullied for the rest of my life. And then that's what sends somebody into that spiral like you see that's going to happen in the Joker. Somebody who's been pushed away from the social circle of society and doesn't have the ability to defend themselves, doesn't have the will to defend themselves, and now they're soft. And when they decide that they've had enough, they lash out in ways that cost lives. But this is driving Miss Mayhem said, that's what I teach my kids. I don't give a damn about zero tolerance policies. If the school won't protect my child has permission to defend themselves. And that's how it was. And, nobody, teachers didn't trip on that. You know what I mean? If it was a situation where a kid was getting bullied and they fought back, then hey, that's what happens. But now in today's age, you don't get that kind of thing from people. You don't have people, people who fight back are considered. It's not about teaching your kid to fight back now. It's about teaching other kids to tolerate, to be tolerant of of somebody's behavior, even when it's out of line. And I mean, I could never let that go. I mean, I tell my daughter to this day, I say, hey, because she tells me that a boy pushed her. And I'd be like, if that boy pushed you again, hey, I'll show you exactly how to punch him. I taught my daughter, twist that wrist. Like, don't play no games. It's just too much of that, too much nonsense with how we're coddling children these days. I didn't get coddled. I never got a participation trophy. You know what I mean? If you lost, you just ain't getting nothing. Do better next time. Get you a trophy. Get in the top 3. If you weren't getting straight A's, then you didn't get no ribbon, in the cafeteria. You didn't get no ribbon. Like, do better in your grades and you get up there, you'll get your ribbon. But now, I mean, I don't know why that's become the, one of the cornerstones of our society today, and that everybody should be given should be shown. Everyone deserves credit just for trying. No, the winners deserve credit for winning. Everybody else, you have your respect for being a part of the competition. But to the winners go the spoils. You know what I mean? Like, not to the everybody. Exactly. We're not starting nothing. But we ain't starting no shit, but we ain't taking no shit neither. That's how I am. Like, I don't go anywhere in my life to this day with the intention of getting in any fights, with the intention of getting in any arguments, with the intention of showing any kind of bad will towards people. Never. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I keep my temper in check. I don't allow myself to get into verbal arguments with people over nothing, because to me, it's not worth my time. I ain't trying to get sued. And I don't got time to fight, because I'm not, I'm a grown man. I'm 35 years old. I'm not about to get in no fight with you over some dumb shit. But people in today's society, they just don't know everybody's got thin skin. Well, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people with a small majority with very loud voices have thin skin. And these people go out every day with the intention of going online and looking for something that they can find and say is offensive, and then target that person and try and create chaos in their life, because they think that they deem what they say is something that is not acceptable in today's society. Like, it's funny. I was talking with some friends yesterday, and one of my friends, who was a female, she said she made reference to something on LGBT, and then said the F word, the FAGG word. And then she apologized for saying it, and she was saying, like, oh, I know that's a bad word. I'm like, hold on. So asshole ain't a bad word, but faggot is. And she's like, yeah, it's derogatory towards homosexuals, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, but asshole isn't derogatory towards anybody. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm not saying that it's not a bad word. It is a bad word. It's in the same vein as the N word, because it is specific to that group of people. But you're in the presence of a group of people where none of us are in that group, where none of us are homosexual. It's 3 guys, 1 girl. None of us are gay. And you saying that doesn't bother us. We won't say it. We're all in our own little group here of people. We're not out in public. So, don't feel so like you have to walk on eggshells around everybody you're around. To a certain extent, be yourself. If you say that, if somebody complains about it, then you can be like, okay, my bad. I know that's not, sorry about saying that. Doesn't mean to offend you. But you're in a group of people that we don't care. We don't care. Shoot. Don't feel like, you have to walk on eggshells everywhere you go. That's why people That's why people just, that's why you never really understand how people really feel today, because people are too scared and are walking on eggshells everywhere they go. They're not willing to speak their mind. Sometimes speaking your mind, it pulls all of that tension out of the room, because at least people know where you're at and they know where you stand. If there's anything you want to discuss in regards to that after the fact, it's easier to discuss it when you know where somebody stands. But if you're walking on eggshells and you're being all vague and you're trying not to offend anybody, Michael Martin says, come out of retirement for a few years. Dude, that's another thing. I could not play football right now. My body is so banged up from football that now, there's been 5 years for all this stuff to set in after I retired. Ain't no way. I'd need a year straight of training, an entire 12 months to train before I could get back into playing any football. But yeah, like Josh says here, my pops always taught me second place is definitely good, but first place feels great. Don't ever let someone take that from you. Strive for excellence and don't be ashamed when you achieve it. Yeah, like you strive for excellence. Funyuns. Well, I'm not monetized yet. So once I get monetized, then we can start talking about that. Yeah, look, when I was growing up, I didn't get many first place trophies. Never won a championship as a football player ever in anything except for one bowl game, my freshman year in college. But I never felt any lesser. I felt like I was any less of a player because, I wasn't getting accolades. You know what I mean? Like I never felt like a lesser player. I knew how good I was. And other players that I played against knew how good I was. And, I never understood why people felt, why these young parents who, as we all know, as the generations have moved on since the 50s, the age of parenthood has gotten younger and younger to a degree up until the early 2000s. So a lot of these young kids are children of people who had kids when they were young. So they feel like, these people who do all this studying on child development and bringing up their children, they've looked so hard into the psychological aspect of it that they didn't realize that, the environment has more to do with your child's development than, the things you say to them and the things that you gift to them. Gifting a kid a participation trophy, gifting a kid a reward for mediocrity is ridiculous. That gives them no incentive to push to be better. And I think that that's where a lot of this has now kind of morphed these younger kids into the mind state of, if everybody doesn't get a chance to shine, then it's not fair. I mean, no, everybody can't get a chance to shine. Only the motherfuckers who are at the top can shine. If you have that talent and you have that drive and you have that determination to work yourself to that point, to the top, then you're gonna shine. You'll have your chance. If you take advantage of it, then you'll be better for it. If you don't, then you'll get another chance to do it again. But when you take away the incentive for kids to push themselves, for kids to actually, develop mental toughness, you know what I mean? Like my experiences as a kid, like I talked about with the bullying, that was one thing. But even as I went to middle school and high school and college, my name is a different kind of name. Uche is only part of my first name. That's what I go by. But my name is a long, drawn-out name, and that was always difficult for people when I was growing up, and there were always chuckles, and there were always, little remarks made about my name. and I was used to that. That didn't bother me. That don't bother me when people make fun of my name or people laugh or look at my name and say it wrong and have this distorted look on their face when they're trying to figure out how to pronounce this. That doesn't bother me. But, I didn't go and complain to my parents that I didn't like when people couldn't say my name right or I wanted to change my name. I just beat them to the punch and would correct them before they even had a chance to say it. That way they knew how it's supposed to be said. And I say it as many times as they need to hear it so that they can understand it. But, I never felt like they were like they were wrong or they were bad people because they laughed at my name. I just took it in stride and kept moving. And I didn't let that, have any effect on my personality or on my mood. But kids today have such, you talk about the gender neutral stuff and you talk about the, not even just LGBT, because they have their community. They got what they wanted. So we thought, but they got what they wanted. And now we're in a society where people are just so concerned about what you're labeling them as. And they get offended if you don't label them the right way. And to me, that's nonsense. Like, if you have a label that you want, then let it be known what you want your label to be. But don't get offended if somebody doesn't label you the right way because they don't know. If they don't know, then that's whatever. You just correct them and we'll keep it moving. But when you get offended and when you start judging people and you start labeling people because they haven't been able to, they weren't able to label you in the way you want to be labeled, then you're really just, you're creating a climate where people just don't know what way to go in order to keep the general masses happy and to keep everything on an even keel. Soki says, is your name Uche Vaus Kausher avec moi? No, my name is Uche Chukwu Abere Chukwu Waneri. And people don't know how to say that. And it's, all right, here we go. Josh says, I got my ass beat growing up, partially because I had a big mouth. It helped me harden up. I never got all crazy about it. I was determined to not get my butt kicked. Yeah, and sometimes, people who talk too much, people who say things out of line, hey, that's part of the consequences of saying too much, of talking too much. Sometimes you talk to the wrong person too much and you say the wrong thing and then it turns into a situation. But, you learn from that. Okay, I should probably shut up. I should probably not say too much here. And, and that's something that as you get older and as you get more mature, it's easier for you to see the situations where you don't need to say much more. You just need to make a point and keep it moving, because saying too much at this point is only going to create friction. Driving Miss Mayhem says, successful is looked down on today. You're evil and greedy if you're rich. You're selfish if you want to make a profit and reap the rewards of hard work. It's how society comes to accept socialism. Okay, so part of this I agree with. Part of this, so see, this is the thing, because I'm a history minor. Socialism has been repurposed. The term socialism has been repurposed in society today. Socialism don't have shit to do with none of that. It doesn't have anything to do with checking the rich and checking the successful. Nothing at all. Socialism is simply a form of government that operates within equal distribution of government funds and government resources to the masses in society. It never accounted for the free market. It never accounted for free enterprise. It never accounted for anything having to do with a Western style of governing, Western economies. And that's part of why it was never fully compatible with the way Western civilizations are run, because socialism doesn't allow for that segment of elite society to exist, because it was never considered a part of the system to begin with. It was never a level of elite of elite wealth that existed in the system of socialism. So when you try to apply that socialism is an attack on the free market and is an attack on free enterprise that American capitalism is based around, it's kind of a false equivalency, because these were never two segments that went together or were never considered each other to begin with. Socialism never considered free market or capitalism to begin with. It's not a concept that was ever associated with it. So it doesn't, in socialist world, that just doesn't exist, period. And same thing with free enterprise and the free market and capitalism. Capitalism never considered socialism and the factoring of how it operates. It doesn't exist in that world. So it doesn't even account for it or consider it in any way, period. Now, when you try to merge the two, there are aspects of socialism that we have actually merged into our democratic republic, which started back with FDR. FDR started Social Security, and Social Security was the first socialist, hybrid socialist institution that our democratic republic retrofitted to work with democracy. So we have bits and pieces of socialist style institutions that are part of our government to this very day, but they had to be, these were things that were custom fitted to a democratic republic to work on the back end, in the back, kind of backstage for the individuals, so that people could have things like 401ks, so that people could have things like Social Security, social services. These are all things that were added to the mantra of the government. But today's socialist agenda is not pure socialism, because pure socialism would mean that the government in and of itself will no longer operate in a capitalistic fashion. It will only operate in a socialistic fashion, which, I honestly don't keep up so much with the intricacies of the political climate today, just because it's gotten so convoluted and so utterly distasteful to deal with, that I preferred over the last year or so, I preferred to just stay away from it, because it doesn't really give people any kind of, there's no resolute solution to any real discussion within politics today that you can have where people say, okay, you know what, that makes sense, let's roll with that, and the other side be like, you know what, I can live with that, let's roll with that. There's no such thing now. So I'd rather not even deal with it. But I think that there has been confusion over this entire socialist thing. Socialism and capitalism are two separate institutions that never accounted for each other from their inception. It was as if each side never knew that the other one would ever exist. So there was never a way to create space for that to exist within the other system. So I think that's why some people look at it and say they're not compatible. Well, they aren't compatible as ultimately as full structures. They're not compatible, but our democracy has custom fit aspects of socialism into our government going back 80 years. So in a way, we do have quasi-socialistic institutions that operate within our government, that have been fit to our government to work in a more optimal style, or a more optimized style, for the betterment and the enrichment of our government, not to overpass the institutions we have, but to coexist in the institutions we have. But there is nothing that anyone is, I mean, from what I understand, I know Bernie Sanders wants to have healthcare for all. So does Elizabeth Warren. But while those systems are very complex things to integrate and to operate within our government without having to go through growing pains, and this will probably be this has never been truer words right here. But to and this will likely be the only time you guys hear me speak on anything that I believe in from a political standpoint. But, and this was going to, and this is going to be to kind of bring this conversation full circle. As I look at the field of people, of prospects for the next presidential race, I've done a little bit of research on each of them. And my honest opinion is that the person that I look at and say, this is probably if you're an everyday citizen in this country who is working your ass off every day and who is trying to find a way, and you're working in 30-day cycles to take care of your family and take care of your people, take care of your own tribe, I would say that the individual who I've looked at and have seen what they're proposing for America, and have seen where we are as Americans and where his policies and his proposals could take us in a direction that that I feel is that keeps the arrow going up. I mean, I say Andrew Yang. I think it's simple. He's presented a very simple, straightforward policy on a universal base income, which I think that in and of itself is a socialistic style of a socialistic feature that fits with the capital market, that fits with capitalism and fits with the free enterprise. And I say that because, every person in this country who is given $12,000 extra over the course of a year, every adult who gets earns $12,000 extra, what does that do for your life? That allows you to invest. That allows you to enrich. That allows you to take pressure off of yourself somewhat in being able to operate on a monthly basis where, bills are paid, vacations can be paid for, businesses can be invested into. How much could you do with $12,000 extra a year? $12,000 extra a year through something like a VAT tax, where you're taxing a company like Amazon who doesn't pay taxes. You're taxing them on every transaction that they make every single day of the year. The consumer who buys gets a small piece of every transaction. That makes all of us shareholders within Amazon. That makes all of us shareholders within Microsoft. That makes all of us shareholders within Sony, within YouTube, within all these things we spend money on every day. It makes us part owner of that business. So we're not only enriching the company, but we're enriching ourselves. And capitalism, that's capitalism evolved. That's capitalism evolved to another level that now includes the everyday worker. It makes all of us vital to the success of the business, but it also lets us share in the success of the business. And at the end of the year, that ends up being about $12,000. Now, there's of course going to be a ton more in way of, there's going to be specifics that are going to need to be ironed out on how to pay for it, or how it will manifest itself without taking too much away from the economy in its initial phase, because that initial phase always creates a shock to the system of an economy. Same way that Obamacare did. It shocked our economy. It shocked the insurance market before it, for a while before it moved into another phase, which where it started seeing prices come down a little. But I think that Andrew Yang has the right idea on how to evolve our economy so that we can now create new trends and new norms within our economy that benefit the consumer in the same right that it benefits the producer. And I think that's where you start to close the gap on the people who have and the people who don't, is that you allow the people who don't the ability to have simply by spending their money. Now, when I spend my money on Amazon, I'm only making myself a bigger partner with Amazon. And over time, people will then begin to receive, it'll go past $12,000 a year. You'll start seeing it creep up to $15,000 a year, then $20,000 a year. While at the same time, that money's being reinvested into new industries, into new businesses, into new trends. And we just continue to make more money we make ourselves a part of the actual economy that we spend money into. And that's the American dream, ain't it? I mean, for you to be able to invest and make more money and be able to grow your money, you can start taking parts of that VAT tax, start taking parts of that universal income and start investing bigger pieces of it into businesses, starting businesses. And now you're a bigger part of the world. You're a bigger part of the world economy. So for me, and I don't care if if Andrew Yang was Republican speaking the same thing, I would still say the same thing, because I don't give a fuck about Republican or Democrat. To me, that's all bullshit. Those are dividers. Those are just dividers of people. And it keeps it puts one person in the box over on this side and one person in the box on this side. That's just useless to me. It's just who has the best ideas, who has the ideas that work best for the everyday individual. Because, a lot of the wealth in this country goes to, the top 1%, true enough. But a lot of that top 1%, that wealth has been in that, they've had that wealth going back 3, 4, 5 generations. So it's not like they're new money. They're not new money. These people have had that money. Their families had that money. Their grandparents, their great-grandparents, their great-great-grandparents had that money. So now, how do you get a piece of that? You get a piece of that by being considered a partner in it from the outset. When you spend money, you get a little piece back. And every time that there's a transaction made, you get a little piece back as a partner in the business. And when their profits go up and keep climbing to record profits, you get a little bit more back every time you make a transaction. And to me, that is how America can evolve to the next level of greatness, is by evolving the system of markets and trade and money, evolving that to bring in new investors, the people. Let the people be the new investors. Give them all a piece, because that just means people will spend more money, because everybody's going to want a piece. So everybody's going to start spending. So your profits are going to start going even higher and higher and higher as a company. But there will always be this little segment of your company that goes back to the people, because they're the ones making your company. So they get something back in return. That's where I am politically. I think that is the way to go. I think that's the way to go. And that's just looking at it purely from an economic standpoint. Josh Chandler says, yeah, we have the DuPonts in Pennsylvania, old money, crazy ass SOBs. Yeah, you can't change that. That's not going to change. That money has been there for hundreds of years. That kind of money ain't going nowhere. And they'll always be in the top 1%. But you can change the country with what Andrew Yang is trying to do. The country can move from 95% of the world's wealth, of the country's wealth being in the top 1%, to 90%, to 85%. Because these type of things, if they take hold and they become the norms of our economy moving forward 50, 60, 70 years, then that rate is going to change. It's going to shift. And it's not going to take away from their money. It's not going to take away from their money at the top, but it will add to ours on the back end. So now we start floating up closer and closer and closer. We're never going to be in the same 10% that they're in. But if you can be within 30% of it, everybody's going to be doing good. If you can be within 40% of it, everybody will be doing good. So that's where I am on that. But, unfortunately, guys, it's time for us to bring this live stream to an end. It's crazy. We started off, in one direction and we ended off in another direction. And that's cool. I like that. The conversation evolved and it shifted and it kept moving. But I want to thank everybody who's been in here. I want to thank everybody who has been in my streams. I really do appreciate all of you guys. As I get more and more into this YouTube world, I really do find that you guys are really great people. It's really been an honor to be able to talk to you guys, to be able to play video games with you guys, to be able to go over on Geeks and Gamers, go over on Sports Wars, everything. I'm really having a great time with it. It really is something that I've taken a lot of joy in, and I really appreciate you guys. But we're going to bring this stream to an end at 10:30 tonight Eastern time. We'll be streaming. We'll be streaming again. Be streaming a game. I'm going to go check the poll here in a little bit and see what game we're going to be playing tonight. If you have any requests, please leave them in the comments section of my polls on what games you would like to see me play. I will make sure to take a look and try and go get the games that you guys want to see. And we will get those games on the streams that we have in the future. So I appreciate you guys. Love everybody. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.